everyone, it's Lynn from Blue Calla Patterns and welcome to video 2 for the Balm wax canvas backpack. I've decided to split the exterior assembly of the bag into two separate videos because the majority of the assembly occurs for the exterior. The lining is fairly simple to sew. So in this video, we're going to cover the sewing of the 4 panels. So these 2 zipper pocket side panels, this front panel, and the the back panel with the straps and the handle. And then in the next video, we'll complete the exterior assembly. We're going to attach the bottom, we're going to sew the flap, and we're going to attach the top band. So in this video, we're just doing this part here. The pieces that you're going to need in this video, you're going to need your 9-inch zippers. Those are going to be used for those 2 exterior side zipper pockets. In terms of the webbing, you're going to need the 2 shoulder strap pieces, the 2 rectangle ring pieces, the bottom buckle strap, and the handle. You'll also need the 1-inch rectangle rings and the 1-inch slide, so you'll need all of those. In terms of the cut pieces, you're going to need your zipper pocket top panel pieces. You're going to need your zipper pocket bottom panel pieces, so those are the pieces that you're going to see at the bottom of the exterior pocket. And then all of the exterior zipper pocket lining pieces, so all 4 pieces interfaced. And then for your main panel, you're going to need that contrast piece that's going to be at the back of your bag, and you're going to need the canvas piece that goes on the front. The first thing you're going to take are your 2 9-inch zippers. We're going to do both zipper pockets at the same time because they need to be mirror imaged, and it's just easier to do that if you sew both of them at the same time. And then you're going to need your exterior zipper pocket lining pieces. So start by placing 2 exterior zipper pocket lining pieces on your work surface, right side facing up. And then you're going to take your zippers and you want them to be mirror image. So you're going to place them on top along the top edge. You're going to have them right side facing up. And then you want to make sure that they both open at the center. So the rounded part here of your zipper pull should be facing the center here. They should be facing each other. So we're going to clip these to the lining pieces. Now we're going to sew the zippers to the lining pieces along that top edge. This time we're just going to use a quick basting stitch with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. The next thing you're going to do is take your your zipper pocket bottom panel pieces. So these are out of exterior fabric. You're going to want to place one over top of each of these lining pieces with attached zippers, and you're going to clip them in place. Now, if you're using a directional print, you want to make sure that you're attaching the top edge of the fabric. Now, make sure that they're lined up on the edges here with the lining fabric. And then you're going to sew these together. So you're going to be sewing through 3 layers: the lining fabric, the zipper, and the exterior fabric. And you're going to sew along the top edge. Make sure that you backstitch at the beginning and the end and use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So now we're going to flip these pieces so they are wrong sides together. And then we're going to press them away from the zipper, both on the exterior side and the lining side. And now we're going to top stitch the seam allowance here with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance from the zipper. And you'll do that along both pieces. Now you're going to take the 2 remaining exterior zipper pocket lining pieces and place those right side facing up, and then place your pocket, the zipper, with attached pocket pieces, and align that to the top edge. Make sure that they're all lined up here on the sides, and then you're going to clip this in place. And again, this time you're just going to be basting these in place with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So everything is right side up, the lining pieces and these exterior pieces. The zipper's right side up, and you're just quickly basting this in place. Now you're going to take both of your zipper pocket top panel pieces and flip them so they are wrong sides facing up, and then you're going to place them along that top edge. Again, make sure that all of the sides here are all lined up, and clip these to the zipper, the opposite end, the top edge of the zipper. And you're going to sew these in place with 1/4 inch seam allowance, making sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end. So once these are sewn in place, you can't press waterproof canvas or waxed canvas. So you're going to need to finger press and then bring over to your machine and top stitch along this top edge with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, but you have to finger press as you're sewing. So now you're going to flip these over, and you'll see that you have the lining pieces are a different length and they're longer than the exterior piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew the bottom edges together. So you're not sewing through the exterior here, you're only going to be sewing through the two lining pieces. And you're going to sew them together, but you're going to use a 1/2 inch or 3/8 of an inch seam allowance from this bottom edge of the shorter piece, not the longer piece, but the shorter piece. So once the bottom edges have been sewn, you can trim that seam allowance and make the bottom the same length. I'm just leaving about quarter inch seam allowance here. So now you'll see that they are shorter than the exterior piece. And the last thing we're going to do with these is you're just going to flip them over, and you're going to do a quick basting stitch along the edges here with 1/4 inch seam allowance. And that's just to keep all your layers from shifting when we're attaching them to the main panel in the next steps. The two exterior zipper pocket side panels, they're done now, so we're just going to set them aside for a minute. And now you're going to need the main panel exterior fabric piece. So this is my waterproof canvas piece. And you're also going to need your bottom buckle strap piece. And you're going to start by folding this in half, wrong sides together, and make a mark on the right side along the bottom, and do the same thing for the top. So once we have our center marks, you're going to place the bottom buckle strap centered over that bottom center mark. And then you're going to measure 2.5 inches up from the bottom edge. And you're going to make a mark on your webbing at that 2.5 inch mark. And then you're going to sew from the bottom edge going up to that 2.5 inch mark. So stop and rotate, sew across, and then stop and rotate and sew again towards the bottom. Make sure that you backstitch at the beginning and the end. Okay, so now that we've attached the bottom buckle strap piece, we can set that aside for a minute. Now you're going to need the main panel contrast piece and your two shoulder straps and your two rectangle ring straps, a handle, and your hardware to make your shoulder straps adjustable. Start by passing a rectangle ring strap through one of the rectangle rings so the raw edges here are aligned, and then you're going to sew the ring you're going to sew the rectangle ring straps together. So you're going to start at a bottom corner, backstitch, and sew as close as you can get to the rectangle ring without the foot of your machine interfering with the the ring. Then you're going to stop and rotate and sew across, and then stop and rotate, and then sew down towards the bottom corner here. And when you're sewing along the sides, you use 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Make sure that you backstitch at the beginning and the end, and then you're going to do the same thing for the second strap piece. Okay, so now we've got our rectangle rings attached to their strap pieces. Now you're going to take a shoulder strap and you're going to slip one in through the rectangle slide. So you're wrapping the strap piece around that middle bar. Then just use a clip to hold it in place, and you're going to sew the strap piece here using a square box of stitching. I make about a 1-inch square box of stitching going all the way around, and make sure that you backstitch at the beginning and the end, and then do the same thing for the second slide and the second shoulder strap. Oops. Okay, so once you have all of both rectangle slides attached to the shoulder straps, now we can finish the shoulder straps. So you're just going to pass the opposite end of the shoulder strap, so the one that's not attached to the rectangle slide, you're going to pass that through the rectangle ring. Make sure that your strap isn't twisted, and then pass that same end again through the slide. And then you have a completed shoulder strap. And do the same thing for the second one. So the part where you see the edge, I consider that the wrong side of the strap. So you want that facing up, and then pass that through the rectangle slide, through the rectangle ring, and then through the rectangle slide. And then you have your second shoulder strap. So now you're going to need your main panel contrast piece and your handle piece. So you're going to measure in 1 1/4 inch from each of the top corners. Make a mark. And that's where you're going to place the outer edge of your handle. So the mark is right here, and then I'm placing that mark right at the outer edge of the one end of the handle piece, and leave the handle piece sticking out at least 1/4 inch. And then make sure it's not twisted. Place the other end with the outer edge at that mark and have it stick out at least 1/4 inch. Now we're going to baste that in place. Okay, so this is what it looks like when your handle is basted. We're not going to attach the shoulder straps to that piece just yet. what we're going to start by doing is attaching our those exterior zipper pocket panels to the main panel that's going to be on the front of your bag. Now this is really important. We want both pulls to have their open ends facing this main panel. So you want to make sure that they're opening on this side. Okay, like this. And then you just flip it over and attach it to one side of the main panel for this one. Okay, and then I'm going to sew from the top to the bottom, making sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end. Okay, so I've got the one side attached. Again, I can't press my waterproof canvas, so I'm just going to finger press and then top stitch the seam allowance here along the edge. Okay, so I've got one exterior zipper pocket attached to the main panel. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the other one. Now there's a little bit extra here along the top of my zipper pocket top panel pieces, so I'm just going to trim that afterwards. It just means I wasn't very precise with my seam allowance when attaching to the zipper. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew these together, back stitching at the beginning and the end, and then I'm going to flip away, finger press, and top stitch the seam allowance along the edge of the main panel here. Okay, so now I have the exterior zipper pockets attached to the main panel on either side. Now we're going to attach the main panel contrast piece. So you'll start by clipping it to one side. Now make sure that your handle is at the top. So this is the bottom edge, this is the top edge, and you want that handle to be attached at the top. And we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to sew these together with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, backstitch at the beginning and the end, and then we're going to flip and finger press, and we're going to top stitch along the seam allowance here on the main panel contrast piece. So I've gone ahead and I've sewn the main panel contrast, both sides, to the opposite sides of the exterior zipper pocket panels. And I sewed them together, and then I top stitched the seam allowance along both sides of the main panel contrast piece. So now I have this, this tube, and what I need to do to this piece here, the main panel contrast piece, is attach my shoulder straps. So you're going to take the end of the strap that does not have the rectangle ring, and you're going to place it just inside where you've attached the handle, and leave it sticking out at the top edge about 1/4 inch. And then on the bottom, make sure that the shoulder strap isn't twisted. So you need to see the top side of the slide here. You're going to place that end, leave it sticking out 1/4 inch from the bottom edge, and you're going to place it just inside the top stitching along the main panel contrast piece. And then you're going to do the same thing for the second strap. Make sure it's not twisted. And then you're going to sew along the bottom edge here to attach these, sew these in place. And then you're going to do the same thing along the top edge. You're just going to sew all the way across to sew the tops of the shoulder straps to the top edge. Now make sure that you're only sewing to the main panel contrast piece, not the main panel piece at the front. Okay, so your backpack straps are attached, and this is what the front looks like. And this is all that we're going to do in this video. We're going to complete the exterior assembly in the next video.